Scottish football is on fire. Frimpong's move could hand Celtic millions. Reo Hatate lands blockbuster Celtic transfer council as cryptic Greg Taylor clue surfaces amid cut-price Kyogo talks. Nico Raskin provides Rangers' future update before transfer window. Shankland gives his take on his Hearts' future. If you want the biggest stories, the boldest drama, and all the madness from Scottish football delivered straight to you, make sure to subscribe right now. Jeremie Frimpong, the electric right-back who once zipped up and down the flank for Celtic, is on the brink of joining Liverpool. Reports from Germany say he is due to undergo a medical in the next few days, with the Reds ready to trigger his £35 million release clause. Not bad for a lad who left Glasgow for just £11.5 million back in 2021. Since making the leap to Bayer Leverkusen, Frimpong has gone from promising prospect to full-blown star. He has been tearing up the Bundesliga, landing himself on the radar of some serious clubs. Manchester United sniffed around, but it is Liverpool who look to have landed him, viewing the Dutch international as a long-term successor to Trent Alexander-Arnold, who is apparently packing his bags for Real Madrid. But here is where things get extra juicy for the Hoops faithful. Thanks to some smart business when they sold him, Celtic included a sell-on clause that gives them 30% of the profit from any future sale. Do the maths, and that means a tidy windfall of between £6 and £7 million headed their way. That is no small change, especially with the summer transfer window creeping up fast. So, while Frimpong trades Leverkusen for Liverpool, Celtic quietly pockets a cash boost without lifting a finger. But here is the question, the real football brains out there. Should Celtic be patting themselves on the back for clever deals like this? Or is it actually a sign of a club that is too focused on selling, rather than building a team that can seriously compete in Europe? Right then, Hearts fan, gather round because your captain, your talisman, and your main man up top, Shankland, has finally broken the silence on his future. And let's just say, it is not quite a goodbye, but it is not a full-on I'm staying either. The 30-goal man from last season has had a slightly less explosive campaign this time round. But in recent weeks, he has reminded everyone just how dangerous he can be in front of goal. With his contract ticking down and a potential farewell against Kilmarnock looming, all eyes have been on what his next move might be. Now, it turns out Hearts are not ready to wave him off just yet. The club wants to reopen contract talks and keep their number 9 at Tynecastle. But Shankland is in no rush. He says he is going to take his time, chat with his reps, speak to the family, and see what options are on the table. Fair enough. He is 29 now, not a wee boy, and he knows this next move could define the back end of his career. Whether that means staying in Gorgie or chasing a new challenge remains to be seen. But here is where things get even more interesting. Derek McInnes, the Kilmarnock boss, is expected to be unveiled as the new Hearts manager early next week. And Shankland knows him well. They go way back to their Aberdeen days, when Shankland was still learning the ropes. He did not break into McInnes' side back then, but he clearly has a lot of respect for the man now. Shankland even admitted that working under McInnes again could influence his decision. He praised his organization, his style of play, and the way he has taken Kilmarnock from the Championship into European spots. High praise, and maybe even a sign he is tempted to stick around for the rebuild under a familiar face. So the situation is clear. Hearts want him, the fans want him, and the incoming manager might just be the key to making it all click. But Shankland? He is keeping his cards close to his chest. Now here is the million-pound question. If Lawrence Shankland really fancies a new challenge at this stage of his career, should Hearts let him go with thanks and blessings? Or is it absolutely vital they throw the kitchen sink at keeping him in maroon? Alright, grab your cuppa and settle in because Nico Raskin has just delivered the liver. Most honest Rangers you are likely to hear this season, and it is full of nuggets that could shape the Ibrox summer. The Belgian midfielder, who has quietly become Rangers' most consistent performer in an otherwise forgettable campaign, has spoken up about his future. And while the headlines might scream transfer speculation, the lad himself is sounding pretty content. He says he is really happy at the club, has 2 more years on his contract, and unless the club decides otherwise, he is not going anywhere. But let us not get too cozy. Rangers are expected to sell this summer. With that United States-backed takeover looming, and a strategy to become a proper player trading club, someone with value is bound to go. Raskin ticks a lot of boxes in that regard. He has grown into the role since Felipe Clement handed him a proper run of games, and he has been thriving ever since. Confidence, minutes on the pitch, and a bit of freedom to express himself. Simple, really. And under Barry Ferguson's brief stint, he has been pushed higher up the pitch, and surprise, surprise, his stats have improved. He is scoring, assisting, and playing with a smile. When asked about Barry possibly taking the reins long-term, Raskin kept it classy, said he liked him, praised the improvement, but made it clear it is not his call. What he did say loud and clear was this: Rangers need to be successful, not just competitive, but properly successful. No more moral victories, just trophies and results. And speaking of results, remember that draw with Hibernian? Raskin scored, but should have had a brace. One of his goals crossed the line, but was missed by the officials, and bafflingly, VAR stayed silent. He was fuming, and rightly so. No goal line technology in the Scottish Premiership? Come on. He called it out for what it is: embarrassing. He reckons the league cannot expect to join Europe's top 10. If it is still arguing about goals that a 5-year-old with an iPad could spot. So while Raskin is focused on next season, relaxing for now, and returning on the 23rd of June, you get the sense that big changes are coming at Ibrox, and if they are serious about climbing back to the top, they cannot afford another season of near misses and VAR nonsense. If Rangers are serious about becoming a top club again, should they cash in on Raskin now while his stock is high, or is selling your best player just proof the ambition is not really there? Reo Hatate. The Japanese maestro might be hobbling about on crutches and ruled out of the Scottish Cup final, but that has not stopped the transfer whisper mill from going full throttle. None other than Brazilian legend Zico. Yes, that Zico has popped up with a glowing review of Hatate and a cheeky nudge towards Serie A, saying the midfielder would be a perfect fit for a club like Udinese. He reckons Hatate has the mentality, pace, and technical ability to shine in Italy, and apparently the scouts have been sniffing about already. Now, whether that move happens this summer might hinge on his recovery, but with a domestic treble nearly wrapped up and a Champions League campaign under his belt, you could argue Hatate has outgrown the Scottish Premiership. Meanwhile, things are looking a bit murkier for Greg Taylor. He has just one game left on his, and although Brendan Rodgers says he wants him to stay, there is no new contract on the table yet. Taylor posted a rather poetic "lived it and loved it" on social media, which of course sent some fans into full detective mode. Alistair Johnston even replied with an emotional meme, just to pour more fuel on the farewell theory. Kieran Tierney returning only adds spice to that mix. And then, we come to the curious case of Kyogo Furuhashi. His January move to Stade Rennes has turned into a proper nightmare. Barely used, rarely effective, and now Rennes are apparently willing to offload him for a fraction of the £10 million they paid to Celtic. That is not so much a transfer as it is a cautionary tale in cleats. So with Hatate possibly bound for Italy, Taylor edging towards the door, and Kyogo's French misadventure ending with a shrug, Celtic might be facing a bigger summer rebuild than many expected. With so many Celtic stars either limping out or being linked with moves away, is Brendan Rodgers really building something long-term here? Or are we just watching another short cycle before the next big reset? If you want the biggest stories, the boldest drama, and all the madness from Scottish football delivered straight to you, make sure to subscribe right now.